Welcome back to the Working Fans Podcast, and we have a special interview today. As part of the Griswold Get Together next weekend that starts Thursday, June 29th, 6 to 10, Carnival only. Friday night, June 30th, there's the Carnival and live music with Stiff Kitty, Nick Bossy, and Wooden Horse. But Saturday, July 1st, it's the Carnival. The Working Fans Podcast is going to be there. Man, they call Dave, producer Joe, AJ Strange Brew, and as well as our guest today, Wrecking Ball Legursky. How are you doing today, Wrecking Ball?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we
Awesome,
are
man. Great
doing
to have you on.
Hell yeah. No, I'm excited. I just had some ice cream, so it's pretty good. I'm pretty pumped.
That's funny. We were actually just talking about how with the carnival coming up, we've kind of been cutting back, and Dave's like, I haven't had ice cream, cake, pie all week. I'm like, God, you got me hungry for all those things.
Yeah, no, I just had a chocolate peanut butter sundae from one of my local places over here where I live.
Ooh,
That's amazing. And let's start off with that
I want
because
that.
July 1st, wrestling is coming to my hometown of Jewett City. This is going to be at the park right outside my window, right down there. So it's exciting to have an event come to a hometown. And that's why we're so big on promoting it. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and have you gotten to wrestle there?
I grew up in Southington. So it's near Bristol, Hartford. I played football there. I was all state football and wrestling, and I believe we actually did this fair maybe 4 years ago before the pandemic. I wrestled Robbie E there before.
Oh, yeah, right down in the park here.
Yeah, that was literally right before he got signed to WWE. He's now Robert Stone on NXT.
Yeah, that was a big match. I believe that was something for like the name of the youth center was on the line in that match.
Yes.
And
Luckily,
that's
I
why
saved the youth center from Robbie E.
That's awesome.
and that's why we're happy to have it come back. Now, Dave, do you want to hit Wrecking Ball with the next question here?
Yeah, I mean, you've wrestled, like you just said, in front of carnivals and stuff like that. You've done this before. Is there any other unique wrestling like places you've ever wrestled in front of? You know, like some people had these like crazy stories. We wrestled in these sheds. Like, what would you say is the most unique place you ever wrestled?
It was like right when things started to come back during the pandemic. I wrestled in a field.
Wow.
It was a field that it was a field of a farm. Like they did paintball, they did all like they had animals, but it was in the middle of a field. There was like haystacks. It was out in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in like upstate New York. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, that pandemic was good for not only like the empty arena matches, but the people that were holding matches were using different venues for it. And it really, you'll get a lot of these stories, I'm sure, coming out of it. Fields,
Yeah,
flea markets,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah. People had to use their creativity how to get things getting going again, and that was one of the places. There actually were fans for that, but it was definitely like a unique situation. You had to like drive through the field, and the field wasn't really suitable for driving, and there was all these
Yeah.
bumps and potholes, and like every little time you would go, like you would just feel like your suspension shaking and whatnot. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. Now you're coming as part of the Northeast Wrestling event July 1st, and you've been
Hmm.
one of the mainstays of Northeast Wrestling for so long. Now, what originally got you into wrestling as a fan? And then what made you make that jump from fan to in ring competitor?
I always watched it growing up. I watched a little bit like right before the Attitude Era began. Growing up, I was a Shawn Michaels fan. And then during the Attitude Era, like Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, and whatnot. So I played college football at Southern Connecticut State University, which is in New Haven, Connecticut. Um, Once I finished my football career there was a training school called PWA in New Haven, Connecticut. Trained there for a couple years. And then, once I really got going, that school closed, and I trained with Matt Taven and Mike Bennett for like 2 or 3 years, and then I trained with Bubba Ray Dudley for another 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
Wow. So, with so many different trainers, what do you think is some of the best advice you've come across in your years in the business? Because that's a lot of good wrestling minds that you just listed there.
Yeah, I mean, different people have their different advice. The first place I really learned, how to do some rolling around in the ring, just some of the various athletic things. With Taven, he was big on getting my personality out, getting fire, emotion, and Mike Bennett was there. He was good at you know, breaking old wrestling cliches. Like sometimes you have to do what feels right for you, even if it wasn't if the thinking's a little outside of the box. And Vincent, who's he was in Northeast Wrestling as well, and now he's in Ring of Honor as part of the Righteous. He was big on wrestling like the Wrecking Ball. How would the Wrecking Ball do this? How would the Wrecking Ball do that? How would the Wrecking Ball react? And Bubba Ray Dudley, um, you know, he was good at wrestling psychology and getting me to use my size. He really helped me understand how to use my size, when to use my size, and to be efficient at using my size.
Nice.
Now,
That's some good things to learn.
Now, Wrecking Ball, I was want to ask you. Wrestling is a very unique sport in the sense that I think I heard Triple H talk about this one time with Logan Paul. That the sense if you're a boxer or something, you're trying to block out the audience, right? But in pro wrestling, you're going to be competing, you're going to be getting bumped around that ring and beat up. At the same time, you need to do all that and engage the crowd and keep it. So, knowing that for you personally, what would you say is more challenging aspect of what you do? Is it getting beat up, which we know isn't easy, or is it, having to get that personality out there and talk? And I think you're good at both. I've seen your interviews and stuff, and I feel like you, but what was more of a challenge for you?
I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, right now for me, physically the hardest thing is taking long trips, like going on small planes, long car rides.
Yeah.
Like some of that for me hurts more than actually wrestling. Like sometimes I'll get out of like a 3-hour flight and I'm hunched over, my hips are tight, I can barely walk. But I mean, overall, I mean, everything was, a process. I don't think one was harder than the other. Sometimes, when you're training as you're going on, you think you're showing all this fire and personality and all this, then you watch it back, you're like, oh, wow, I could have done a lot more. You know, and
It's really
wrestling.
It's the difficulty of connecting with people. Sometimes you gotta, to connect with one person can be difficult. Imagine trying to connect with a whole group of people. That's got to be tough, and sometimes conveying what you want to convey.
Oh, absolutely. But sometimes once you connect with that one person, sets the rest of the audience off.
Nice.
Sometimes it just takes that one person to connect with, and then everything, explodes from there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like almost like dominoes falling,
Mhm.
but in a good way where one
Yep.
person incites the rest of the crowd.
Oh yeah, almost like the spark that starts the fire.
Yes, exactly.
Now, July 1st, the flyer came out this week, and
Mhm.
it is going to be a battle of the big man. Wrecking Ball Legursky stepping in with former guest of the show, Dan Moff. Thank God we're not doing commentary for this because it would be hard to be impartial. We've seen Wrecking Ball for years. This man has gotten into phenomenal shape. And even though Dan Moff is a dangerous man, it's not going to be an easy night in the ring. We're excited to see this. Is there anything you'd like to promote before we let you go here?
This match is definitely going to be a spectacle. I mean, we're two of the biggest wrestlers, not only in Connecticut or the Northeast, but two of the biggest wrestlers in the entire world. Every time we wrestle, it's always been a war. We've wrestled probably 6, 7, 8 times, and I've never pinned him. I mean, I've won by disqualification. I've won, but I've never pinned Dan Moff, and I definitely have a chip on my shoulder. Um, he's pinned me. I haven't pinned him, and especially the chip is he held the title for quite a long time. I think it was like 2 years or something like that, and I haven't been in the title race in a little bit. I know he just lost the championship, but a win over Dan Moff, I think, would put me back in the title race.
Yes, definitely. And that's where the fans want to see you. So July 1st, you'll be able to see Wrecking Ball Legursky in the win. Wrecking Ball, if you can hang out for a second after we play this commercial, we just wanted to talk to you for another second off air. But let's play this commercial and we will talk to you then.
All right.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harrison, Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories, including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.